I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 22, How to Set Goals. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. This podcast will be released on New Year's Day. So if you're listening to this on New Year's Day, Happy New Year. Congratulations, you survived 2020. Isn't that amazing? Who knew that 2020 would turn out the way it did, huh? I know that it kind of blew us all over in many ways, but I also know that for me personally, 2020 taught me a lot of things that I needed to see, that I needed to shift. So I'm grateful for the lesson. I'm also grateful for a new year, if I'm being honest. So today we're going to talk about how to set goals. You probably hear about this a lot right about now, but you might not have heard it in this way before. At the beginning of the new year, many of us look at our life and look at the things that we want to change, and we might have really good intentions of things that we want to do differently, and we jump right in, go for it, dedicate ourselves to it, are just sure that we're going to stick with it, and then we fizzle out. And today I want to talk a little bit about this and why that happens and how you can help yourself. Now, first of all, I remember when things were really intense for me personally. For me, when I was making the decision of whether or not to end my marriage, when I was ending my marriage, when I was dealing with his loss after he passed away, goals were not quite on my radar. I was in survival mode. I was trying to get through the day and just be alive. I was trying to keep my kids alive, trying to have enough of something to give to my kids, trying to love them, trying to have support for them. And often I felt like I was in survival mode. There does come a point, though, where it can be very, very helpful to have something that you're working towards that is bigger than you, something that excites you, something that motivates you. I'm going to tell you what that was for me. I remember it. So it was several months after my first husband had passed away. Life was starting to feel a little bit more normal, a little bit more like I could handle it. And I decided that I was going to run a race. There was a girl in my area who was severely handicapped, and her family did a fundraiser for her called Sweatin' for Sammy. And I decided I was going to run in the race that was the fundraiser to pay for this sweet girl's medical care. And so I set this goal to run this 5K race, 5K. I lived in the Bay Area, beautiful areas to run. And I thought, I can do that. And so I downloaded an app on my phone that was like Couch to 5K, something like that. And I did what it told me to do. And I just did the running and really surprised myself in that race. And I got second place in my age group. And it felt so good. My kids were there. They ran for their age. And sometimes I trained with my kids. Even my little twins, who were pretty young at the time, got to race. And it was a really fun time, a fun memory. And it felt good to me to be doing something that was a goal that I said I would do. And to accomplish it, I had fun. I met other people. It was good. It was a healthy thing for me. I want that for you, my friends. So we're going to talk first about goals and why they matter. Okay, so Zig Ziglar, I'm sure you've heard of him. He says, a goal properly set is halfway reached. I agree with that. So many of the times we think of these big goals, we have these big ideas, and that's great. I'm all about big ideas and big goals, but then we kind of leave it up to chance of how we're going to actually accomplish it. Oh, I'll figure it out. I'll just figure it out. And the problem is we often don't figure it out. And what I want to teach you today is how to set yourself up for success so that you just keep chipping away at it, okay? Next, Seth Godin. He says, the thing about goals is that living without them is a lot more fun in the short run. It seems to me, though, that the people who get things done, who lead, who grow and make an impact, those people have goals. Amen to Seth Godin, right? Amen. We are conditioned to just chill, right? We're conditioned to just like hang out where it's comfortable and not do things that are hard. But it's the people who want more for their lives, who make an impact, who grow. Those people have goals, okay? If you remember from earlier episodes, I talk about the motivational triad and how we are literally wired to not want to do anything uncomfortable or scary. We want it to be easy. And so it makes perfect sense that most of us set these goals. We're all in. Let's do it. Brand new start. And then we fizzle out because our brains are like wired to scream at us not to do it. So it makes perfect sense that we would fall off the wagon, right? Let's talk about how to stay on the wagon. Okay, step number 1. This may seem really basic, but basic is good, okay? Step 1, decide on the goal. First of all, in deciding on your goal, I want to give you a couple tips, okay? 1 is to avoid all or nothing approaches. For example, going from not working out at all to extreme workouts is probably not a good idea. You may burn yourself out quick. Going from like not budgeting at all to trying to keep such a tight budget that you have no wiggle room at all might burn you out. Going from eating whatever you want to cutting out all sugar, flour, anything that you might deem harmful completely might burn you out. Your brain will likely rebel and put up a fight. The next little tip in deciding on a goal is to make it measurable. How will you know if you're succeeding? Here's some ideas. Charts, planners, document. You can make the most basic, simple chart where you get to cross it off. And it really is satisfying to check that box saying, yep, I did it. However you want to document it is up to you. But you can teach your brain that you're winning at your goal. Our brain loves rewards. Our brain loves to be told, you're doing such a good job. So the more you can find ways to reward your brain, the better. Make it measurable. How will you know that you're winning? How will you know that you're succeeding? Document it. Make it measurable. You want this to be something challenging, a stretch, without it feeling like you have to become a whole new person to pull it off, okay? You're just stretching into a new version of yourself. You're not doing an overhaul of who you are. That is unnecessary. Step number 2 is break down exactly what needs to happen to reach this goal. So I have a one-on-one coach that I work with once a week. And a couple weeks ago, I brought to her some stuff that I have going on in finances. I'm trying to do better at really paying attention to everything going on in my business, in my personal life with money. I have a lot of resistance to it. I've never particularly felt like I'm really good with money, and so I have a lot of drama around it. So my coach did exactly what I'm going to tell you to do. She asked me to tell her exactly what needed to happen. So I'm like, well, I need to do this and this. I want to print out all my bank accounts. I want to really see where every penny's going. And I just listed it out. I broke down exactly what needs to happen. This gave my brain so much more awareness of like, oh, I can totally do that. Instead of looking at this thing like it was so overwhelming, would take me at least 3 days to do. Instead, I gave my brain step by step the things that need to happen to reach that goal. You could break it down even more, smaller increments. Decide how long each increment will take. Each single increment. So for me, it was printing up the statements, going through them, highlighting what was being pulled out, what was being put in, deciding on a budget, having a discussion with the husband, deciding when we're going to have a financial meeting every week to go over the finances, like literally breaking it down to the smallest little things so my brain could handle it without going, oh no, that's too much. That's too much. Okay. Breaking it down, smallest increments possible, deciding how long those things will take. Next step is to name all of the obstacles that you might have to reaching that goal. For example, if you have a goal to get up and exercise, the obstacle might be getting up is hard. I don't like getting up early. That might be the obstacle. If you are trying to change your diet, an obstacle might be intense sugar cravings. If you're trying to focus on a task, you might feel like the obstacle is that you get easily distracted. Time can be an obstacle. My spouse is not on board. That could be an obstacle. Kid interruptions. So many obstacles, right? Our brain is at the ready all the time to put little blocks in our way, saying, oh no, that's much too hard, showing us what those interruptions are. Next, I want you to write down a solution for every single obstacle. Every single one, you're getting gritty here, okay? You're using the resources of your brain to come up with a solution. For example, getting up may be hard. Plan on that. Plan on it being hard. Set the alarm and remind yourself as you get out of bed, this is the part where it feels hard and it's okay. Sugar cravings. I will allow them. I won't react. I won't resist. I won't avoid. I will just be a person who has a craving and will remind myself that it will pass. What about getting distracted? I will set an alarm for 20 minutes and give myself a 5-minute break in between 20-minute chunks. I will ask for outside help, like keeping the kids in another area of the house, to minimize distraction for that 20-minute chunk. Time. This is a huge obstacle for so many people. There's just not enough time. Get gritty. Get creative. How can you challenge your thinking about what you can get done in a certain amount of time? Who can you ask for help? What other solutions can you come up with time? Maybe it's coaching your brain before you sit down to do something about what you want to think on purpose about the thing that you're about to do. What if you can challenge your thoughts about time? What about the obstacle of the spouse? How can you come up with a solution for that? One idea is, I will believe enough for both of us. I will trust that he isn't on board because he just doesn't understand, and it's okay. I understand. He will understand in time. You just have to have enough belief for you, my friend. You don't need to be in charge of his belief. He can handle that. Okay, the next step is to start. Go. Write out when you will do things. Stick to it. Okay, just stick to it. Now, how will your identity shift as you make these changes? Let's talk about that a little bit. So my coach, Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School, she did a podcast episode a while back that really blew my mind. It's called Minimum Baseline. I suggest you go find it. It's Minimum Baseline Life Coach School podcast. Anyway, in that podcast, Brooke Castillo teaches this concept about goals, about setting ourselves up for success. And she teaches this concept that instead of saying, okay, I'm going to become a person who is an exerciser, instead of doing that and like pushing yourself so hard to do these hour-long power workouts and then burning out, you start building that identity by becoming the person that walks around the block for 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes, minimum baseline. What is my minimum baseline for becoming a person who exercises daily? Keep it small, my friends, keep it small. These little shifts, you're teaching your brain. It doesn't matter that you walked for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter that you walked really slow. What matters is that you're teaching your brain, I am a person, 1, who exercises every day, and 2, that keeps my word to myself. 5 minutes. Think about how that compounds over time. First of all, getting out the door can be the hardest part. And so you might find that you start with 5 minutes and you really like it. So you go for 30 minutes. But in your brain, you're like, I only have to go for 5 minutes. And it's kind of giving your brain that comfort that you could check that box. Like, I can do 5 minutes, where instead think about the resistance that one might feel if they think they have to go out and go running for an hour or even a half hour, right? 5 minutes, I can do that. Think about it with all of the goals that we talked about, all the different ideas, like not desiring sugar, for example. What is the minimum baseline? We tend to be all or nothing. What if instead that minimum baseline is, I only have sugar when I have decided a day ahead of time to have it. That is my minimum baseline. Do you think you could do that? That's what I'm working on in 2021. I'm working on sugar. Sugar's been something that I've got a sweet tooth, always have. And I'll do really well for a while and then struggle. And I'm going to try a different approach as well, right along with you. I've really grown with this exact process in other areas of my life, and now I'm ready to apply it to sugar. So with this minimum baseline, what is your minimum baseline? Start by looking at the end. Who do you want to be? Why do you want to achieve that goal? Why did you pick that goal? Why do you want it so bad? What is the identity of that person who has completed that goal? What is she like? Who is she? What is her day like? What has improved in her life because she accomplished this goal? And what is the minimum baseline you can do to become her, to identify as her, to feel the way that she feels? The more you can clear up that story and tell yourself a story that feels good in your body, the more willing you're going to be to do this process, to take the steps, to decide to put one foot in front of the other, to decide what your minimum baseline is, and doing this work of finding the obstacles, naming the strategies, and going for it. So, who do you want to become in 2021? Like I said, I'm working on a few things. I'm working on finances, cleaning things up. My business has grown a lot this last year. And with that, some of my structures in my business need to be cleaned up. Some of my financing needs to be cleaned up. Some of the ways that I do things need to be strategized and put into better systems so I can keep up with the growth. It's been a good thing, a blessing, but that's something that I'm going to work on this next year. I'm going to work on my health because I want to be a person who lives in a healthy, vibrant body, who has energy, who feels good. I have stuff I want to do. I have important work to do. I love my work. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. And I want to have a physical body that matches all the things that I want to do and the person that I want to be. So that's what I'm working on in 2021. I also want to set up better family structures. I am pretty chill. I'm pretty down to earth. I'm pretty relaxed. And part of that has cost me. I have never been great at having really clear, clean family structures. I'll do it for a while and then fall off, not have real good set consequences sometimes. And I'm feeling it. With 6 kids living at home and 4 of those kids being teenagers, I'm feeling it because they don't always know to believe me or not when I say I'm going to give a consequence, etc. So one of my goals for 2021 is to have a better family structure and to have my own back in it, to keep my word, to give the consequences, to follow through. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be working on. I hope that this is helpful to you. I want you to just pick something. What is it? What's one goal you can work on? You're worth it. You're worth this work. You're worth striving for something. There's so much joy in growth. There's so much joy in accomplishing things that you maybe thought were impossible before. Who do you want to become in 2021? You don't have to go change everything to become her. It starts with one little step, taking one step and moving forward. Have a wonderful new year. Happy New Year, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.